The arrival. The snow fell silently over New Boston's gleaming spires, coating the quantum-shielded buildings in a pristine white blanket. 10-year-old Sarah Chen watched through her bedroom window as the familiar shapes of Zk'tharr ships patrolled the evening sky, their crystalline hulls reflecting the city's countless lights. It had been 3 years since the aliens had arrived, 3 years since everything changed, and yet some things, like the magic of snow on Christmas Eve, remained eternally the same. "Sarah, dinner time," her mother called from downstairs. "Coming." Sarah replied, but didn't move immediately. Her eyes remained fixed on one particular Zk'tharr vessel, larger than the others, which seemed to be scanning their neighborhood with particular intensity tonight. The Zk'tharr had arrived on Earth in 2157, not as conquerors or friends, but as something far more puzzling, silent guardians who seemed exclusively focused on protecting Earth's children. They never spoke, never engaged in diplomacy, and never explained their actions. They simply appeared one day, established an impenetrable planetary defense grid, and began their endless vigil. The only direct interaction they ever had with humans was when a child was in danger. Then, they would act with lightning precision, materializing seemingly out of nowhere to prevent accidents, stop crimes, or even cure diseases that threatened young lives. But they completely ignored adults unless they posed a direct threat to children. Sarah finally turned away from the window and headed downstairs, her sock-clad feet silent on the carpeted steps. The smell of her mother's traditional Chinese-American fusion cooking filled the air. Tonight was her special Christmas Eve dinner, a blend of dumplings and roast turkey that somehow worked perfectly together. "Did you finish your homework?" her mother asked as Sarah slid into her seat at the kitchen table. Dr. Lisa Chen was one of the world's leading xenoanthropologists, dedicated to understanding the Zk'tharr despite their complete refusal to communicate. "Yes, Mom. Although I don't see why we still have homework on Christmas Eve," Sarah grumbled, reaching for a dumpling. "Education doesn't take holidays, young lady," her mother replied with a small smile. "Besides, the Zk'tharr seem to approve of our educational system. It's one of the few human institutions they actively protect." This was true. The aliens had constructed protective shields around every school on Earth, and their ships always maintained a visible presence around educational facilities. Yet they had shown no interest in Christmas decorations, religious ceremonies, or any other cultural celebrations. They simply ignored them, as they ignored most adult activities. "Mom," Sarah began, pushing her food around her plate thoughtfully, "why do you think they won't celebrate Christmas with us? They protect us all year, but they don't even acknowledge the holidays." Dr. Chen set down her fork and considered the question carefully. "Well, honey, we still don't understand much about the Zk'tharr. They might not have anything like holidays in their culture. Or maybe they have their own celebrations that we don't recognize. What we do know is that they're absolutely dedicated to protecting Earth's children, even if we don't understand why." Sarah was about to respond and a brilliant purple light flooded through the windows. Both she and her mother rushed to look outside. The large Zk'tharr ship Sarah had noticed earlier was now hovering directly over their street, its crystalline surface pulsing with energy. "That's odd," Dr. Chen murmured, reaching for her tablet to take notes. "They usually only generate that kind of energy signature when they're about to intervene in a crisis, but I don't see any signs of trouble." The light suddenly intensified, and a beam shot down from the ship, materializing into a tall, crystalline figure on their front lawn. It was a Zk'tharr, in physical form, something that had only been witnessed a handful of times since their arrival. The alien stood at least 8 feet tall, its body composed of what appeared to be living crystal in shades of purple and blue. Its form was roughly humanoid, but with multiple limbs that seemed to shift and change as it moved. Its head was a geometric shape somewhere between a pyramid and a sphere, with no visible eyes or mouth, yet somehow conveying a sense of focused attention. And it was looking directly at their house. "Mom," Sarah whispered, clutching her mother's hand. "What's happening?" Before Dr. Chen could answer, every Zk'tharr ship in the sky began emitting the same purple light, creating a network of luminescent beams above the city. The crystalline figure on their lawn raised one of its limbs, and suddenly, their front door chimed with an incoming message, the first direct communication anyone had ever received from the Zk'tharr. Dr. Chen's tablet automatically translated the alien symbols that appeared on their home's communication panel. The children are in danger. All of them. We can no longer maintain silence. We require your assistance, Dr. Chen. And yours, Sarah Chen. The time of observation has ended. The time of cooperation must begin. The revelation. Dr. Chen's hands trembled as she opened the front door. The crystalline figure of the Zk'tharr towered in their doorway, its geometric form somehow both beautiful and terrifying in the purple-tinged snow. Sarah stood slightly behind her mother, equal parts frightened and fascinated. You may call me Observer, 147, the being transmitted directly into their minds, its thought voice carrying an unexpected warmth. We apologize for the years of silence, but observation protocols required minimal interference beyond our primary directive. Which is protecting children, Dr. Chen stated, her scientific curiosity overtaking her fear. But why? Why only children? And why break your silence now? The Zk'tharr's crystalline form shifted, creating patterns that seemed to express emotion. May we enter? The information we must share is sensitive. Once inside their living room, Observer, 147 created a holographic display that filled the entire space. Sarah gasped as their room transformed into a view of deep space, showing countless crystal ships similar to the Zk'tharr vessels, but these were broken and dark. We are the last, Observer, 147 communicated. The final survivors of a civilization that spanned galaxies. We were destroyed not by war or natural disaster, but by our own success. The hologram shifted to show beautiful crystal cities, filled with Zk'tharr going about their daily lives. Our species achieved perfect immortality. We ceased aging, ceased dying. But we also ceased growing. Ceased changing. Ceased dreaming. Dr. Chen's eyes widened with understanding. You stopped having children. Correct. When one lives forever, reproduction becomes unnecessary. Cultural evolution stagnates. Creativity withers. It took us millennia to realize our mistake, but by then, it was too late. Our species had lost the ability to produce new generations. Sarah stepped forward, her fear forgotten. But what does that have to do with Earth? With Christmas? The Zk'tharr's form rippled in what might have been appreciation. Humans are unique in our experience. Your species possesses something we lost eons ago, the ability to see the world anew through the eyes of children. Your holidays, especially this Christmas, represent something we can barely comprehend, the celebration of renewal, of birth, of hope itself. The hologram changed to show Earth from space, surrounded by a web of purple energy. We came here after detecting your world's unique temporal signature. Your planet exists at a crucial nexus point in spacetime, one of the few places where the universe's fundamental constants remain flexible enough to permit change. The other aliens, Dr. Chen breathed. The ones you're protecting us from, they've detected this too. Yes. The harvesters. They seek what we seek, but their methods are. Observer 147's form darkened. They do not wish to protect. They wish to consume. To absorb the temporal flexibility of your world's children into themselves. They have done this to other worlds before. Sarah felt a chill that had nothing to do with the winter night. How many other worlds? All of them. Earth is the last. The Zk'tharr's form pulsed with urgency. The harvesters approach. Our defenses will hold them back, but not indefinitely. We need humanity's help, specifically, we need your children's help. Dr. Chen sat down heavily on their couch. What exactly are you asking? We have developed a process that could restore our ability to produce new generations, but it requires something we no longer possess, the pure creative energy of childhood belief. The same energy that peaks during your Christmas celebrations. Sarah's eyes lit up. That's why you've been watching more closely lately. You can sense it building up. Correct again, young one. The combined belief of Earth's children during this holiday creates a temporal resonance that could power our regeneration process. But it must be freely given, and the children must understand what they're sharing. We cannot simply take it. And if we help you, Dr. Chen asked carefully, you'll continue protecting Earth from these harvesters? We will do more than that, Observer 147 replied. We will teach you to protect yourselves. And perhaps we can learn from each other. Your Christmas celebration, it contains elements our civilization needs to remember. Joy. Wonder. The ability to believe in things that seem impossible. The hologram shifted one final time, showing a possible future, crystal cities integrated with human ones, Zk'tharr and human children playing together, new hybrid technologies that combine the best of both civilizations. But first, Observer 147 continued, we must survive the next 48 hours. The harvesters will arrive on what you call Christmas Day. They believe the temporal energy peak will make Earth's children vulnerable. They do not understand that it will actually make them stronger, if they choose to help us. Sarah looked at her mother, then back at the crystalline being. How many children do you need to convince? All of them. Every child on Earth must choose to share their belief freely. One refusal could destabilize the entire process. Dr. Chen checked her tablet's world clock. It's already Christmas Eve in some parts of the world. How can we possibly reach every child in time? The Zk'tharr's form brightened. We have already begun. While we speak, this same conversation is happening in homes across the planet. But we need coordinators, those who understand both sides. Dr. Chen, your expertise in xenoanthropology makes you ideal to help adults understand. And Sarah. Yes. Sarah stepped forward eagerly. You must help the other children understand. They will listen to one of their own more than to any adult or alien. Will you help us? Sarah looked at the remains of their Christmas Eve dinner, then at the snow falling outside, and finally at the humble Christmas tree in the corner of their living room. She thought about all the children around the world preparing for a holiday that, it turned out, might help save two civilizations. Yes, she said firmly. But I have one condition. The Zk'tharr's form shifted in what might have been curiosity. State your condition. If this works, if we help you have children again, you have to learn to celebrate Christmas with us. Properly, with decorations and everything. For the first time in recorded history, a Zk'tharr made a sound that might have been laughter. Agreed, young Sarah Chen. Now, shall we begin? We have much to do, and very little time. The network. The Chen's living room had transformed into an impromptu command center within hours. Holographic displays courtesy of the Zk'tharr technology showed real-time updates from around the globe, tracking the spread of their message and the responses from children worldwide. Sarah sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by floating screens as she coordinated with other kids through a neural interface Observer 147 had provided. Australia's mostly on board, she reported, her young voice carrying the weight of responsibility. But we're having trouble with some of the older kids in Europe. They're saying they're too grown up to believe in Christmas magic. Dr. Chen looked up from her own array of displays where she was managing the adult response teams. That's going to be our biggest challenge. The temporal energy the Zk'tharr need is strongest in children who still have pure belief, but it starts fading around age 12. Observer 147's crystalline form shimmered with concern. We are detecting increased temporal disturbances in the upper atmosphere. The harvesters are attempting to breach our defensive grid ahead of schedule. Through her neural interface, Sarah suddenly felt a spike of fear from thousands of children around the world. They could sense it too, something dark and hungry approaching Earth. The harvesters weren't just aliens, they were the very essence of lost childhood, of dreams abandoned, of wonder turned to cynicism. "We need help," Sarah declared, standing up. "We need someone who understands both sides, someone who still believes in magic but is old enough to reach the older kids." Her eyes lit up. "We need Marcus." Dr. Chen turned to her daughter. "Your cousin. But he's 14. Exactly. And he still believes. Remember last Christmas when everyone made fun of him for defending Santa to his classmates? He didn't care. He said believing in something good was better than being cool." Observer 147 moved closer, its crystalline structure analyzing Sarah's memories of Marcus. "The girl speaks truth. This Marcus possesses an unusual temporal signature, the belief energy of a young child coupled with the intellectual development of an adolescent. He could be key to bridging the gap." Sarah was already sending Marcus a priority message through her neural interface. Within moments, a new holographic window opened, showing a teenage boy with unruly dark hair and bright eyes that still held that spark of childhood wonder. "Sarah? What's going on? My room is full of floating crystals, and there's this alien saying something about Christmas magic being real." Marcus's excitement was palpable even through the hologram. "It's all real, Marcus," Sarah explained quickly. "And we need your help. There are kids all over the world who need to believe, really believe, by Christmas morning. But the older ones aren't listening to us younger kids." Marcus's expression grew serious as they explained the situation. The harvesters, the temporal energy, the Zk'tharr's desperate need for humanity's help, he absorbed it all with growing determination. "So that's why they never celebrated with us," he mused. "They couldn't. They'd lost their own connection to that kind of joy." He straightened up. "I'll help. But we need to do more than just talk to the older kids. We need to show them." "Show them what?" Sarah asked. "The magic. Not alien technology, not temporal energy, real Christmas magic. The kind that made the Zk'tharr choose Earth in the first place." Marcus's eyes were shining now. Observer 147, "You said Earth exists at a nexus point where universal constants are flexible, right? Where impossible things can happen. The crystalline being shifted in affirmation." "Correct. It is why your planet can sustain such high levels of temporal belief energy." "Then we need to use that. Sarah, remember when we were little and we'd make up stories about Santa's workshop being hidden in the northern lights? What if?" Marcus paused, his mind racing with possibilities. "What if we could actually create that? Not as a story, but as a real place, powered by belief?" Dr. Chen stepped forward. "Marcus, what exactly are you suggesting? The Zk'tharr need a place to channel all this belief energy, right? Instead of just beaming it into their ships or whatever, what if we gave kids everywhere something amazing to focus on? Something that proves that believing in magic isn't childish, it's the most powerful force in the universe." Observer 147's form pulsed with increasing luminosity. "The boy's suggestion has merit. A focused point of temporal belief energy could not only power our regeneration process but also strengthen Earth's defensive capabilities against the harvesters." Sarah jumped up excitedly. "A real North Pole. Not just for Christmas, but as a place where Zk'tharr and human children could learn from each other all year round." The holographic displays around them suddenly flickered as a massive energy surge rocked the Earth's atmosphere. The harvesters were getting closer, their void-black ships beginning to appear as shadows against the stars. "We have less than 18 hours, Observer 147 announced. If we are to attempt this plan, we must begin immediately. The temporal nexus point nearest to your planet's geographical North Pole would be suitable, but the energy requirements would be enormous. We would need not just belief, but action." Marcus's hologram nodded firmly. "Then we'll give them action. Sarah, remember that Christmas play we wrote when we were little? The one about the kids who had to save Christmas magic. The one Mom said was too complicated to actually perform. With the singing crystals and the rainbow bridge and the... Sarah's eyes widened. Marcus, you're a genius. Dr. Chen watched as her daughter and nephew began rapidly sharing their childhood story through the neural network, spreading it to children around the world. To her amazement, the Zk'tharr ships above began to pulse in rhythm with the children's excitement, their crystalline structures resonating with the growing wave of belief. We're going to need every crystal you can spare, Sarah told Observer 147. And every bit of creative energy Earth's kids can generate. Because we're not just going to tell a story about saving Christmas magic, we're going to make it real. As the snow continued to fall outside, Sarah could feel it through the neural network, millions of children around the world beginning to create together, their combined imagination and belief starting to reshape reality itself at Earth's temporal nexus point. The race was on to build something impossible before the harvesters arrived, a place where human wonder and alien technology could combine to create real magic. But unknown to them all, the harvesters had their own plans for Earth's children. And they had something the Zk'tharr didn't know about, a weapon designed to turn wonder into despair, and belief into bitter cynicism. The darkening. The Arctic sky blazed with unprecedented auroras as thousands of Zk'tharr ships positioned themselves around the temporal nexus point. Below, crystalline structures grew from the ice like giant geometric flowers, each one resonating with the combined belief energy of Earth's children. Sarah, Marcus, and Dr. Chen had been transported to the site by Observer 147, along with dozens of other children and scientists from around the world who were crucial to the project. Energy synchronization at 70% and rising, announced Dr. Chen, monitoring the massive holographic displays that hovered above the ice. The neural network is holding steady with over 1 billion children connected worldwide. Sarah stood at the center of what they dubbed the Wonder Matrix, a massive crystalline structure that looked like a snowflake the size of a small city. Through her neural interface, she could feel the presence of countless children, all working together to believe in something greater than themselves. Marcus moved between groups of older kids who had been brought to the site, helping them understand that believing wasn't about being childish, it was about being brave enough to hope. Incoming temporal disturbance. The warning came from multiple Zk'tharr observers simultaneously. The northern sky darkened as the first harvester ships began to materialize, massive, void-black vessels that seemed to absorb both light and hope. There earlier than expected, Observer 147's crystalline form pulsed with urgency. The Wonder Matrix is not yet fully powered. Through the neural network, Sarah felt a wave of fear from children around the world as they sensed the harvester's presence. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of giving in to the fear, the children began sharing memories, their favorite Christmas moments, times when they'd helped others, instances when believing in something had made it come true. Marcus grabbed Sarah's hand. They're doing it on their own. The neural network isn't just sharing fear, it's sharing courage. Above them, the harvester ships deployed their primary weapon, a massive dark energy pulse designed to accelerate time locally, forcing children to experience the loss of childhood wonder in seconds rather than years. The black wave descended toward Earth, but as it hit the atmosphere, it encountered something unexpected. The Wonder Matrix's crystalline spires began to glow with a light that came not from technology, but from pure human belief. Every story ever told about the magic of Christmas, every act of kindness done in the spirit of giving, every moment of pure wonder at the possibilities of existence, all of it had been channeled into this moment. Energy signature analyzing, one of the Zk'tharr scientists announced. The human belief energy is transforming our crystalline matrix at the quantum level. This is unprecedented. The transformation was visible to the naked eye. The geometric precision of Zk'tharr technology began to merge with organic, flowing shapes that seemed drawn from children's dreams. Spiral towers of crystal and light rose from the ice, forming structures that were neither purely alien nor purely human, but something entirely new. The harvesters launched a second attack, this time targeting the neural network itself. Black tendrils of anti-wonder energy began seeping into children's minds worldwide, trying to corrupt their belief with cynicism and despair. "They're attacking the older kids first," Marcus shouted, feeling the assault through his neural connection. "They're trying to use our own doubts against us." Sarah watched in horror as some of the older children began to disconnect from the network, their belief wavering under the harvester assault. But then Marcus did something extraordinary, he began to sing. It was the song from their childhood Christmas play, the one about finding magic in unexpected places. Through the neural network, other children began joining in, adding their own verses in hundreds of languages. Each voice carried not just sound, but pure belief energy that strengthened the wonder matrix. The harvester's corruption began to falter as it encountered something it couldn't comprehend, the power of choosing to believe even when you're old enough to doubt. But the harvesters had one final weapon, one they'd been saving for this moment. From their largest ship emerged a figure that caused every Zk'tharr in the vicinity to recoil in shock. It looked like a Zk'tharr, but its crystalline form was corrupted, shot through with veins of void black energy. "Impossible," Observer 147 transmitted. "That is Observer 001, the first of our kind to discover Earth's temporal nexus. We thought they were destroyed centuries ago." The corrupted Zk'tharr's voice boomed across the neural network, reaching every connected mind on Earth. "Children of Earth, your belief is poisoned by these remnants of a dying race. The Zk'tharr would use your power to recreate their failed civilization. But we harvesters offer something greater, eternal childhood, preserved forever in our collective consciousness." Through the neural link, Sarah felt the temptation in that offer, the promise of never having to grow up, never having to face the hardships of adulthood. She felt younger children beginning to waver, attracted by this seemingly perfect solution. But then she felt something else through the network, a memory. Not her own, but Observer 147's, finally shared after years of silence. It showed the truth about the harvesters, how they had once been children themselves, from countless civilizations, who had chosen eternal childhood over growth and change. Their consciousness preserved, but their ability to grow, to learn, to truly live, was forever frozen. "That's not what childhood is about," Sarah shouted, her voice carrying through the neural network to every connected mind. "It's not about staying the same forever. It's about learning, changing, growing, but keeping the ability to believe in better things." The wonder matrix pulsed with blinding light as Sarah's realization spread through the network. The corrupted Observer 001 launched a focused beam of dark energy directly at her, but Marcus leaped in front of his cousin, his unwavering belief in the power of wonder acting as a shield. What no one expected was what happened next. The harvester beam hit Marcus's shield of belief and reflected back, not as darkness, but as pure wonder energy. Observer 001's corrupted form began to crack, light pouring from within. "Sarah!" Dr. Chen called out urgently. "The wonder matrix is reaching critical energy levels. Whatever we're going to do with all this power, we need to do it now." The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance as Sarah faced the biggest decision of her young life. The power to reshape reality itself flowed through the wonder matrix, waiting to be directed. But with the harvesters pressing their attack and time running out, would pure belief be enough to save both humanity and the Zk'tharr? The wonder. Sarah stood at the heart of the wonder matrix, energy coursing through her body as she faced the choice that would determine the fate of two civilizations. The corrupted Observer 001 was breaking apart, dark energy and pure wonder battling within its crystalline form. Through the neural network, she could feel billions of children holding their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. "You must choose," Sarah Chen, Observer 147's voice resonated in her mind. "The matrix has reached maximum capacity. It must be used now, or it will collapse." The options blazed in her mind. They could use the power to destroy the harvesters completely. They could create an impenetrable shield around Earth. They could even grant the Zk'tharr's wish and restart their reproductive cycle. But as Sarah looked at the corrupted observer, 001, she realized something that all the adults and aliens had missed. "We don't have to choose," she whispered, then louder through the neural network, "we don't have to choose. Marcus, remember the end of our play?" The part Mom said was impossible. Marcus's eyes lit up with understanding. "The part where everyone gets to start over." "But Sarah, that was just a story." "Everything is just a story until someone believes in it enough to make it real." Sarah reached out and took her cousin's hand. "The harvesters aren't evil, they're just lost children who never got the chance to grow up properly. And the Zk'tharr stopped having children because they forgot how to change and grow. They're two sides of the same problem." Through the neural network, Sarah began sharing not just her words, but the pure, simple wisdom that sometimes only a child can access. Growing up doesn't mean losing wonder. It means learning how to keep wonder alive even when things get hard. The Zk'tharr protected us because they knew we had this gift, but they didn't realize they could learn it too. The Wonder Matrix began to pulse with new energy as children around the world grasped what Sarah was suggesting. Their combined belief began reshaping reality not through force or protection, but through understanding and growth. Observer 001's corrupted form had almost completely shattered, but instead of destroying it, Sarah directed the Wonder Matrix's energy to heal it. "You wanted to preserve childhood forever," she said to the ancient being, "but you preserved the wrong part. It's not about staying young, it's about keeping the ability to see the world with new eyes, no matter how old you get." The dark energy began to fade from Observer 001's form, replaced by something new, crystal that was neither purely Zk'tharr nor corrupted harvester, but a perfect blend of experience and wonder. Through the neural network, all the harvesters felt this transformation, their conscious minds finally understanding what they had lost in their desperate attempt to remain unchanging. Dr. Chen watched in amazement as the Wonder Matrix began implementing Sarah's solution. The Matrix wasn't just channeling belief, it was transforming it into a new kind of energy that could heal the deep wounds in both civilizations. "The harvesters are standing down," she announced, checking her instruments. "They're ships, they're changing." The void-black vessels were transforming, dark surfaces becoming translucent, revealing the trapped consciousness of countless children within. But they weren't trapped anymore. The Wonder Matrix's energy was giving them what they had really wanted all along, not an eternal, unchanging childhood, but the chance to grow up while keeping their sense of wonder intact. Marcus, still connected to the older kids in the neural network, felt the change spreading. "It's working. The harvesters, they're remembering what it means to grow up properly. And the Zk'tharr." He turned to Observer 147. "You're changing too." The Zk'tharr's crystalline forms were evolving, becoming more fluid, more capable of growth and change. The power of human belief wasn't just restarting their reproductive cycle, it was teaching them how to embrace change as a natural part of existence. Sarah directed the final surge of the Wonder Matrix's power toward the temporal nexus point itself. The crystalline structures they had built began to transform into something permanent, not just a defensive installation or a power source, but a place where the best aspects of all three civilizations could come together. The northern lights above shimmered and danced as the new reality took shape. Where there had been empty Arctic ice, now stood a magnificent city of crystal and light, its architecture blending Zk'tharr geometry with human warmth and even touches of the harvester's ancient wisdom. The temporal nexus point had become a physical manifestation of the bridge between childhood wonder and adult understanding. "What should we call it?" Marcus asked, looking at the magnificent structures rising before them. Sarah smiled. "We already named it in our play, remember? The Wonder City. A place where everyone can learn how to grow up without growing old inside." Observer 147, its form now shimmering with new possibilities, turned to Dr. Chen. "We understand now why you celebrate the birth of a child during Christmas. Every new beginning carries the potential for wonder. We would like to learn how to celebrate with you." Through the neural network, children around the world began sharing their favorite Christmas traditions. The Wonder City responded to their thoughts, incorporating elements from every culture's celebrations of hope and new beginnings. Christmas trees made of living crystal sprouted in the grand plazas, their lights pulsing in harmony with the auroras above. Spaces for celebration and learning emerged, where young Zk'tharr, for there would soon be young Zk'tharr again, could learn from human children, and vice versa. The transformed harvesters, now freed from their self-imposed stasis, brought their own gifts, the wisdom of countless civilizations, no longer frozen in eternal childhood but ready to be shared and grown from. Their ships became bridges between stars, allowing children from Earth to safely explore the wonders of the galaxy while maintaining their connection to home. As Christmas morning dawned around the world, the neural network hummed with joy and possibility. The Wonder City stood as proof that belief wasn't just for children, and growing up didn't mean growing away from magic. It meant learning how to create new kinds of magic, bigger ones, shaped by experience and wisdom but never losing that essential spark of possibility that makes childhood so precious. Sarah looked at her mother, then at Marcus, then at their alien friends both old and new. "Merry Christmas," she said, her words carrying through the neural network to every mind connected to this new beginning. "And remember, the best gift we can give each other is the chance to grow while keeping our sense of wonder alive." Above them, the northern lights danced in patterns that had never been seen before, as three civilizations began the long, wonderful process of learning how to believe in magic together. The end.